go. NHL today, right here on SportsGrid. Mike Carver with you as we take you around the National Hockey League every week right here on the grid. Get you ready for tonight's games, look at some futures and other things going on. Dave Sharapan will join us later as well. Very, very busy Friday here on NHL today. As we come back from, there hasn't been a lot going on the last 3 days because the NHL is one league that actually shuts the doors, whereas the NBA, big Christmas Day, NFL has now moved in and taken over Christmas. They had a game on Thursday night too. The NHL sends everybody home for 3 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the 26th, and they get back into action tonight, Friday the 27th, with a very big slate. So we will discuss that. But it wasn't like there wasn't any news during the 3 days that the league is shut down. They usually, the rosters are frozen. You can't make any moves. But that doesn't mean you can't chop coaches, because that did happen as the Red Wings chopped Derek Lalonde. Get him out. That's usually how it goes. Get it out. It's always the coach's fault in the NHL. It's never the team building, management, always the coach. So Derek Lalonde chopped Todd McClellan, who's on like his 90th job in the NHL, will move in for the Red Wings, which are going to start starting tonight, which we'll discuss as they are going to be taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we do have a good schedule for you on a Friday night. Let's dive right in and see who is going to be on the ice after these 3 days off. We'll begin in Buffalo, where the Blackhawks and the Sabres are going to get together. Now, as you know, two of the worst teams in the NHL. The good news for the Sabres is that they snapped their 13-game losing streak on Monday night out at the horse track against the Islanders. And man, did we call that. You knew the Islanders weren't going to give you a good effort, but 7-1 losing to the Sabres. Blackhawks come in. Now, the Blackhawks are not a good hockey team. They've actually played a little bit better since they chopped Richardson a few weeks back. But here's the deal for Chicago. Awful on the road. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games on the road so far. Buffalo, as we mentioned, just snapped the 13-game losing streak. As of right now, check it in for this one. Now, here's the problem with this game tonight. Both teams are bad. You want to lay a $1.65 with the Sabres tonight? No, I am not going to do that. $1.62 right there. Blackhawks plus 134. You get yourself a 5.5 this evening. Those people in Buffalo, they're going to be ready to rock for the Friday. And yes, I do believe 2 games in a row, 2-game winning streak for the Sabres maybe. After, I'm not going to lay it though. Not going to lay it. We're going to try to get the over in that one, over to 5.5. And I do have something else in that game that we'll do later on in the final 5. Next, we mentioned Detroit chopping Lalonde. They are going to be at home for Toronto this evening. The Leafs come in playing some pretty good hockey. Now, these two getting together, last 10 games, 7 of the 10 to the under with the Leafs and the Red Wings. Red Wings going to get a little bit of a bounce maybe with McClellan now behind the bench for them. You're picking up the Red Wings right now, plus a $1.20 at home. Right, I got it up to $1.25 now as well. Leafs minus a $1.44, 5.5 the total. I feel like 5.5 in a Leaf game, always a very low total. But I just gave it to you. 7 of the last 10 times these two have gotten together, down. Not going to do it with a 5.5 sitting there though. We're going to go up with the Wings and the Leafs there this evening. Next, Carolina into the Rock against the Devils. Of course, these are two of the best teams in the East, two of the teams at the top of the Metro right now. Always love when these two get together. Devils under in 10 straight games. 10 straight unders for the New Jersey Devils. Carolina also plays tons of unders, but what does Carolina do well? They beat the Devils. 8 of their last 10 times they've beaten the Devils. They've split this year, though, and both games 4-2 finals, which is over the 5.5 that you're going to see at the Rock this evening. Devils are favored at home, minus a $1.26, plus 105 for the Canes. And it would be nice, I know that Luke was belly aching about this, it would be nice if everybody caught up to the Devils. When do the Devils get some time off? They've basically played like 4 or 5 more games than everybody else in the Eastern Conference. So maybe the Devils will finally get a break at some point. But good one. Maybe the game of the night there with Carolina and the Devils getting themselves together. Next, we'll go to Columbus. Boston in to take on the Jackets this evening. Boston has pretty much dominated this matchup. 8 of their last 10 times they've beaten the Jackets. But the one time they played this year, if you would remember, back in early mid-November, Columbus smashed them in Boston 5-1, which I believe was the straw that broke the camel's back for Montgomery. I think he was fired the next day when they lost that 5-1 game to Columbus at home. So they'll get back at it tonight. Bruins laying the lumber on the road, minus $1.60, plus 132 for Columbus. 6.5 is the total there. Expect some goals. Look, 6 goals last time out, sitting at the 6.5. Bruins have played a lot better since making the change. They've got Sacco behind the bench now. Losing twice to Columbus this year? I don't know if I see that. Nashville into St. Louis to take on the Blues. Both teams have not been great this year, as we know. The Blues, like the Devils, they're on an understring. 6 straight unders for St. Louis as they go into this game tonight. Predators stink on the road. They've lost 8 of their last 10 away from Smashville. These two get together. Right now, Nashville laying it on the road, minus $1.30, plus 108 for the Blues at their house. You got a number of 5.5 here. I like the under once again because Nashville can't score, and they've got pretty good D, and the Blues stink as well. So that's where I'm going for that one. Another game with some under implications for me. Minnesota into Dallas against the Stars. Minnesota and Dallas, 2 of the best in the West so far this year. Dallas has won 7 in a row against Minnesota, including a 2-1 game back in November. Low scoring, tight to the vest, always with the Dallas Stars. Expect that again tonight. Minus 170. That's a pretty big number. Minnesota's they're not a bad hockey team. That's a big number for Dallas. I get that they're at home. They've slipped up at home here and there. Plus $1.46 for Minnesota. 5.5. Another under. You know, there's a lot of 5.5s tonight. With these teams coming off 3 days off, you got that little holiday break. Teams might come out a little sluggish. You see it. You don't normally see this many 5.5s in one night. So let's see what we have there. Colorado into Utah this evening. The Hockey Club getting involved. The Hockey Club's actually won their last 5 on the puck line. On the spread, Hockey Club's been pretty good. Colorado beat them 5-1 in October in Utah. I like Colorado again tonight. They are laying on the road. Plus 116 for Utah at home. There's a 6.5 for us this evening. Now we can get some pucks in the net with Colorado and Utah. Always love. I got some other things for Colorado later on when we get to the power play point section of the show. And finally, Vegas is at the Shark Tank against San Jose. Vegas dominates. They've won 5 in a row against San Jose. And as we know, San Jose, they are the worst team in hockey so far this year. Now, Blackhawks are pretty good competition. Buffalo's a pretty good competition. Sharks stink. I do sometimes like taking a splash with them late night at home, but that's really only when the Eastern Conference teams come in to play the late night game at the Shark Tank. These teams that play San Jose all the time in the West, I'm not as inclined to go, and this is our heavy lumber game of the night, minus 240 for the Knights in this spot, plus $1.95 for San Jose with the 6.5 total. So a pretty good slate on a Friday night to get us back off of a 3-day holiday break. And like we said, we did have some news. We had Lalonde get chopped by Detroit. Now, we're going to get into some other things because I'm only with you once a week. And between now and next time we're together on NHL Today, we do have the Winter Classic, a tradition unlike any other, which is going to be, now this changed this year, New Year's Eve. They're getting off of New Year's Day, and they're going to now play the Winter Classic on New Year's Eve. So I do want to get some of Dave's thoughts on this, because you go look. There's usually not a lot of overs in these Winter Classic games. They play generally to the under. Last time they were at Wrigley, though, 10 goals scored. That was a long time ago. But that is one of the rare overs in the Winter Classic was when they played at Wrigley Field. So we got Blackhawks and Blues there coming up. NHL Today on the Grid. Mike Carver with you. You'll get David next. We're back after this.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back. NHL Today right here on SportsGrid. Mike Carver with you, going around the league, getting you ready for tonight and some other things that are happening around the National Hockey League. Dave Sharapan is with us, as always, on NHL Today as we get you ready. And I got a lot to discuss with David because, we do a lot of futures we do some other things, we kick some things around, but there is I guess you would still call it the crown jewel event of the NHL's regular season. Obviously, their playoff, Dave, is what drives their sport. Their playoffs are unlike any other, the Stanley Cup playoffs. But when you talk regular season, the Winter Classic is their crown jewel. Now, it has lost some luster over the years, in my opinion, at least, and you probably as well, being a huge hockey guy. This used to be something you really looked forward to. Great venues, classic teams. You get sometimes the snow, like the first one with Pittsburgh and Buffalo at the Ralph. What's happened to it the last few years, David? Because even from like a betting perspective of it, I was mentioning before the break, it's typically always an under. It's always a tough game to get goals in. And now they're moving it to New Year's Eve, playing it at 5 o'clock in Chicago at Wrigley. What do you think's happened in the Winter Classic, and how can they kind of get that spark back?
Oh, Mike, first of all, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, okay? I haven't seen you, but I know how busy it is. In the book, the Winter Classic always, it was like the precursor to the bowl games on New Year's Day. It was early out west. It was always an under. I used to sit and tell the guys to bet the under. It got low. It was always an issue with the quality of the ice because now, making a game outside in different places where maybe it was going to be cold enough, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was going to snow, maybe it wasn't. Sometimes it rained. You always had a question about the ice. And now they've gotten making ice better, and now there's more stuff going on New Year's Day. I mean, we just saw it on Christmas. Christmas used to be an NBA day. It's no longer an NBA day. So now the NHL is making moves, and I don't know. I would give the NHL credit for a lot of things, being adaptable to the situation, making a shift change. They've done it pretty well. They've embraced the gambling more than other leagues and moving, the Winter Classic to New Year's Eve, where there's really a bunch of bowl games and one very important bowl game, at least to me and Penn State people, instead of on New Year's Day is not a bad move. Putting two teams in the Midwest in Wrigley Field, not a bad move. I don't know, Mike. this might not be an over for Winter Classic. That's my first thought, because the over today with the Blackhawks and the Sabres, who are favored, minus what? The game's going over today. My first thought today for the game in Wrigley is that the Winter Classic is going to go over, actually.
Well, like I was saying to you, that they've played at Wrigley once before. I think it was the second or third time they did it, and it was a 6-4 game. It was a 10-goal game, Blackhawks and Red Wings. But that was so long. It's so long ago when they played that. For me, Dave, it's two things of what happened to them. Number one, New Year's Day used to not have any important bowl games, right? Before the new college football playoff, even when there was 4 teams in the college football playoff, it would maybe the Rose Bowl, maybe the night game would be involved. Right. Now you have from noon all the way to midnight important college football playoff games, so that's going to get it pushed to the side. I like that they're doing it at 5 before the Fiesta, which of course this year is the Penn State game, which is going to matter the most at 8 o'clock. And the other thing that I think has hurt them, Dave, is they added all these other outdoor games that, in January. Why do, you have such a great thing that people look forward to, and then 3 weeks from now, you got Washington and the Hurricanes playing at Navy, and they have all this, like they do all these things that don't set Columbus at the shoe against somebody. Like those aren't, like it's just these Stadium Series games take the luster off of it.
Like anything else, when you do it good, they want more of it, and they want to make more money. And a lot of times it's greed. A lot of times it's just, oh, that really worked. Let's do that again. Well, the reason it really worked, because less is more, and it's a unique thing. Have you ever been to one? I mean, you've had some, like the Pittsburgh. You have been to one.
Yes.
Did you go to the one in Buffalo?
No, I went to Rangers Flyers at Citizens Bank Park. I guess it was maybe the third or fourth one, but way back. We're talking 12, 13, 14 years ago was that one. Tortorella was the coach of the Rangers when I was there, because I was down in the press area with him. I remember him at the press conference. Laviolette was coaching the Flyers. It was during that time. It was around when the Flyers played the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup final, either that year or the year after, during that time. So I have been to one.
Was it cold? Do you remember the game, or do you remember being cold?
Freezing. It was freezing. Game wasn't that great. And I've been to a bunch of other outdoor ones, but not Winter Classics. I've been to MetLife for Rangers Islanders, Yankee Stadium for Rangers Islanders. I've been to a few other outdoor ones, but I thought it was cool at Citizens Bank on that New Year's Day between the two of them. Last thing before we get going, Dave, you mentioned that total in the Sabres and the Blackhawks tonight. I was going through all the games tonight. Lots of 5.5s. You got all these teams off of 3-day breaks for the holidays. Do teams tend to come out a little sluggish the first night back off of being out of their routine?
It's two things, right? After you've not skated, practiced, whatever, taken some time, and then you go play, it's either really sloppy hockey, which results in like you can't complete 3 passes in a row and games go dead under, or the goalies are rusty and the game goes over. When I was doing the numbers after a break, more often than not, if they were over teams before, I shaded it to the over. If they were under teams before, I would shade it to the under. So I think there's something to be said for that. The lines have settled out in Vegas. There's only 2 5.5s now, Mikey. They're all 6. Okay. They're all 6s. Overs juiced on a lot of them. But that Vegas and San Jose game, that was going over. And I think the Minnesota Dallas game is a dead under tonight. I just think it is. I think it's a dead under, which I'm going to have as my under, as my total for tonight when we come back with the final 5. Great job by Dave Sharman. NHL Today on the Grid. We're back right after this.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans, bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
And we are back, NHL Today, right here on SportsGrid. Mike Carver with you as we get you ready for tonight and the next couple days in the National Hockey League. It's time for our final five. Of course, 5 plays that we are going to make. Now, I don't like to toot my own horn, and I know that I'm setting myself up for probably disappointment later tonight, but I hope you were with us last week on the final 5 because we almost swept the board. We had 2 out of 3 on the power play points with Reinhart and Matthews. We hit the goal scorer line A. We hit the side with Washington. We hit the total with the over in Toronto and Buffalo. So we had a really good final 5 last week. And I'm hoping that we can now ride that wave into tonight's final 5 action, which is what we are going to have. Let's start with those power play points, which, as we know, are a lot of fun to do. They could get tricky sometimes. You know, you want the ref to blow the whistle, make sure you get a lot of power plays. But here's where we're going tonight. Dave just mentioned it, that Chicago-Buffalo game. Probably a lot of goals going to be happening in that one. Did you know since Chicago switched coaches, Bedard has really been heating it up along with Taylor Hall and company, especially on the power play. So let's go Bedard tonight. Remember, we want to get teams that are in the top 10 of the power play. We want to go against penalty kills during the bottom 10 of the penalty kill. Chicago's power play, as bad as they are, is actually pretty good because of Bedard. Plus 250 for Connor Bedard to have a power play point tonight. So we're going to add him to the list. Next, Colorado against Utah. Colorado, power play always cooking. Now, they've got some guys on some pretty good streaks. Rantanen and McKinnon both have power play points in their last 3 games. Makar, of course, is also on that first unit. We're going to go Makar tonight in that one. Plus 170 for Cale Makar. And finally, Vegas in the tank against the Sharks. Vegas, top 10 power play. San Jose, bottom 10 penalty kill. Jack Eichel at plus $1.90, excuse me, for him. Bedard, Makar, Eichel, power play points for this evening. Next, we'll go with the goal scorer. Willie Nylander for Toronto. He has been on fire. He's been scoring a lot. And despite the fact we've got a lot of under trends with Toronto and Detroit this evening, we will take our shot on Willie tonight, who's currently checking in at plus $1.40 for a goal in that game against the Wings. We'll go with William Nylander. For our side this evening, about Colorado in regulation. I don't want to lay the lumber with Colorado tonight straight up. I'm going to take him to win. I'm going to cut the overtime out. Yes, you could sometimes get burned on this, but I think that this is going to be a comfortable win for the Avalanche this evening on the road at the Hockey Club. So we'll go Colorado plus $1.10 in regulation. For the total, kind of laid the crumbs out for this the entire show. Minnesota and Dallas, under the 5.5. Both teams are under teams. Played a 2-1 game against each other back in November. Lots of under trends for the two of them. Dave was telling you all about it. Plus 104 for the under is where I am going to ride there. And for this week's future on the Final Five, we will go to the Eastern Conference, where it's very jumbled at the top, as we know. The Devils, Carolina, Florida, lots of the usual suspects being up there at the top of that board. I am actually going to look to add Tampa this week. I have seen enough from the Lightning in the past few weeks that I know they're not as good as the team that won a couple cups a few years back, but I think they're good enough that they could make a playoff run against some of these other teams. Now, I'd preferably like if they somehow avoided Florida because they've had their problems with the Panthers, but I'm one that believes it's very hard for the same team to go back every single year. Panthers have been to the Stanley Cup Finals the last 2 years. They're a good hockey team. I don't think they're an all-time great hockey team that they can get to the finals 3 years in a row. So they are already cut out for me in terms of futures. I'm not buying into Florida. I don't think that they could do it 3 years in a row, get all the way back to that point. It's a lot of hockey over those few years. I don't believe Carolina could do it until I see Carolina do it. The Devils, who knows? It's possible, but I also haven't seen them. There's still some guys on that Tampa team that have been through some rigors. They still have the goaltending that has been there in the past. I know Stamkos out, but you look at what they've added, some pretty good pieces, and they still have, pound for pound, in my opinion, maybe the best coach in the NHL with Cooper behind the bench. So we're going to add Tampa to win the East at 9-1 this week on the Final Five. All right, so there you go. We got you set up for this evening. Got you set up for the Winter Classic as well, which, remember, New Year's Eve this year on Tuesday in Chicago at Wrigley. Look for that under with the Blackhawks and the Blues getting together out in the friendly confines. Great job by Tommy Reynolds, Luke Kane, and the crew. Great job by Dave Sharapan. NHL Today on the Grid. We'll see you next week right here.
In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans bound by passion, each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.